All right. We're going to move on then to Chapter 2 in Qualifying the Borrower. This is where we're going to get into some of the things that we have kind of skirted around here so far. We are going to talk about what's an acceptable down payment requirement, and there's been a lot of changes in that area, okay? Ratios, those kind of things. But let's start out with the simple stuff, okay? Here's some aids to qualifying a borrower. We talked about energy efficient homes. Okay, in other words, that I can finance energy improvements into my property. Plus, if I have certain energy improvements, it does give me some latitude. In other words, if I have a home that's star rated as a high efficiency home, primarily newer construction type stuff, they will expand my ratios by 2%. Did you know that? Okay. Current ratios are 31-43 for FHA. That went up, I think, in 2006. If I'm buying into a high energy efficient home and it has the star rating of a high energy efficient home, I can move that up to 33-40. What would that be? 45? Yeah. So that's a qualifying aid, depending upon the home they're buying. Okay. Mortgage credit certificate, MMC. If I go through a counseling and I am deemed an informed homeowner, okay, I'm able to take some of the savings, the tax advantages I'm going to get by being a homeowner and put that into my income, as long as I have my MMC certificate. Okay, and it's a course that they go through understanding the home ownership and some of the values and some of the things that have to do with home ownership. And because of the tax advantages that they will get, and this is somebody obviously going from renting to owning, they will be entitled to some income credit. Yes?
There's just like basic formulas to calculate that out, and you have to literally...
It has to, it's based on the taxable value of the tax earnings, and then what the tax savings will be for that individual.
But you could just use these like they're in the 25% tax bracket.
It would drop into certain other levels. Yeah.
You don't have to actually get a CPA.
No. Okay. I don't see this being used very much. You guys seeing it? I haven't seen much of it. We never saw much of it, but it does exist out there. Okay. All right. Condominium. And this I've never seen, but it's out there. Okay. Condominium utility expense. Okay. Now, in condominiums versus most single-family homes, there is a homeowners association, right? Now, in that homeowners association, for a lot of condominiums, go such things that we would normally pay in a single family, such things as water, maybe trash, maybe electrical, certain things like that, right? Utilities. Well, if you can document the cost of those items that the person is paying through their homeowners association, you can deduct that in the qualifying from the cost of those homeowners association and adjust their ratios accordingly. Does everybody follow me on this? Okay, it's not. We don't see it. I don't think I ever came across a file that had this. Okay. Did you use it? Oh, wish you'd have known about it? Oh, okay. Okay. It generally doesn't make a big enough impact, and I think that's why people don't do it, you know. But anyhow, it's out there. It's out there. You might be able to use it as an argument for a compensating factor. Okay, and that's really where you'd want to go with it. Okay. All right. Now, credit reports and credit history. Let's talk about. We're going to start on. Oh, no, before we get on this, now let's back up to compensating factors. I'm sorry. Let's back up to compensating factors on page 3 of chapter 2. Because this is really important. Okay, we said that the standard underwriting ratios, not taking into account a high energy efficient home and all that kind of stuff, is 31-43, correct? 31 front ratio, 43 back ratio. You know I didn't take you through any ratio math tests. I figure you know what ratios are, right? Okay, everybody know what ratios are. Okay. So, one of the things that comes up is what do I do with a case where my ratios are higher than 31-43? Now, the leniency to this is probably a little less than it was 2 years ago, okay, as far as compensating factors for high ratios. But here's what, in your book, starting on page 3 and continuing over to page 4, are a list of acceptable, or what we call compensating factors to high ratios. Now, first of all, let's get this out of our head, and that is good credit. That is not a compensating factor, never has been a compensating factor, okay? I think we get so locked in that FHA has, you know, some lower credit standards, so if they have good credit, they should have better, you know, consideration. That's not a compensating factor to high ratios. Obviously, it did impact the cost of mortgage insurance, and it will again in the future impact that, but that's as far as it goes. Okay? So, here's what they're looking for. Number one, and this is an important one because a lot of your borrowers for FHA are relatively new users to mortgage money. In other words, they're generally new property purchasers and what have you. And that is the ability to pay a higher mortgage payment. Okay? So what they're looking for is a 12 to 24 month history whereby you can demonstrate that this person has paid high housing costs. In other words, they were in an expensive rental market, right? Where their rents were pretty high. And now they're going into a new home, and their mortgage payment is similar to their rent, but it pushes them over the 31% ratio. So you document that, hey, look at this, Steve, they've always made their rent payments, and here's the rent payment. The rent payment is actually higher or just within a few dollars of the current mortgage payment. Good compensating factor. Okay? Now, one of the other things that FHA really likes is larger down payments. Okay? So if they could invest more than the required 3.5%, especially the big line, you know, in the conventional, the big line's 20% down, right? That's the big line. FHA, the big line is 10% down. It really is. The whole ball game changes when you get below 90. So keep that in mind. If I can do more down payment, they'll change, the guidelines change. As we all know, the MIP changes, doesn't it? Okay? Yeah.